Despite its childish and wildly immature nature, Talking with Dinosaurs is not intended for children. It has blaphsomy, sweary words, sexy talk, and bad thoughts. It is for entertainment purposes only, and while care has been taken to keep information as accurate as possible, paleontology is an ever-growing field with new data and theories constantly changing how we see these prehistoric monsters, so we make no guarantees about accuracy. Not that it matters. Paleontologists are just making it all up as they go along anyway. And to my mum, I'm still very, very sorry. Welcome to Talking with Dinosaurs, the world's #1 rated comedy dinosaur pop science fortnightly podcast hosted by a New Zealander. I'm your host, Stefanato, and I'm here in the Reptiloid's surprisingly well-equipped re-education camp to give you the latest in dinosaur news. And by latest, I mean the stuff that gets filtered down from the paleontological journals to the pop science media and spewed into social media with most of the facts distorted, then repeated by me after a little bit of research to ensure it's not 100% nonsense. I do have some news for you, news that is 100% true, and that's that this weird little podcast has been listened to over 1,000 times. 1,000! That's right, as I record this Talking with Dinosaurs, a podcast built out of a mediocre pun on the name of a 19-year-old documentary. That's right, Walking with Dinosaurs is old enough to vote. Hashtag nostalgia, hashtag only 90s kids remember. Anyway, it's been listened to by more people than those who voted for the Internet Party in New Zealand in 2017. That's crazy. Anyway, you're not here to listen to me ramble about how you're listening to this podcast, and the Reptiloids don't give me enough time to ramble either, so let's get on to it. This has been an episode a long time in the making. In fact, I started writing this episode right after I finished the very first episode. We have featured a lot of terrifying creatures on this podcast. Gigantic creatures, creatures of the deep, filled with fangs, creatures small, vicious and fast. But this creature is something different entirely. Imagine you're a young iguanodontid, minding your own business, perusing some bushes for your morning breakfast, when a shadow blocks out the sun. You look up, but it's too late. You're staring into the face of the great god of wind and wisdom. Death on gigantic winds. Quetzalcoatlus Northropi, ruler of the sky, and the largest beast to ever leap off the earth and not immediately plummet back down. Or did it? You may recognise Quetzalcoatlus as the massive pterosaur from Walking with Dinosaurs, or that stupid creature in Ark Survival Evolved that you could build a house on and you could fly around it, kidnapping noobs and generally ruining everyone else's fun. But Quetzalcoatlus, a creature with a 12-metre wingspan and standing as much as 6 metres tall on land, was truly a massive beast. Imagine a creature the size of a fully grown giraffe with a head as big as I am tall. How could this creature fly, even with its impressive wingspan? That has been the eternal debate since it was discovered. Initial size estimates when it was discovered in 1975 gave it a 20-metre wingspan and suggested it weighed slightly less than I do, which would have made it pretty easy for this behemoth bird wannabe to fly. Later, more accurate estimates, however, downed it to a piddly 12-metre wingspan and up to a relatively chubby 250 kgs. Or if we're still using me as a yardstick, 2.5 Stefans. 3 Stefans from 2017, but, candy is delicious, and exercise is hard. These estimates have varied wildly over the years, with one researcher suggesting it weighed almost 500 kgs, which would have definitely locked it to land, galloping around using its wings as forelegs. Current estimates say the 250 kg is probably the most accurate estimate, and extensive biomechanical computer modelling suggested that Quetzalcoatlus could fly if it was that weight. These estimates suggest it would do so by taking a great leap into the air, and then using thermal lifts to allow it to fly for up to a week at a time at 130 kilometers an hour. That's some serious distance. How Quetzalcoatlus ate has also been fairly controversial, with various suggestions being that it scavenged like a vulture. Though to be fair, If you ask some paleontologists, every bloody dinosaur was a scavenger, from the humble Compsognathus to the mighty Gigantosaurus. Another theory was that it would fly low over the ocean and scoop up fish and swallow them whole like a pelican. Since fossils have only been found 400 kilometres from the shoreline that would have existed 68 million years ago, the skimming probably isn't right, but most researchers believe that it probably mostly scooped up small vertebrates from the ground and scavenged on large dead dinosaurs when it found them. Now, you may be wondering how Quetzalcoatlus got its frankly ridiculous and cool name. Quetzalcoatl is famously an Aztec god, the god of sky, wind, and wisdom in their culture. Various versions of Quetzalcoatl have been worshipped since as early as the 1st century BCE and continued until, well, Europeans happened. I mean, this isn't the time and place to discuss the terrible things Europeans did in their drive to steal resources, so I'm just going to leave that there. Quetzalcoatl means feathered serpent, which is quite ironic since, unlike many dinosaurs, pterosaurs showed no evidence of feathers. They did have little patches of hair though. Now, not that pterosaurs are dinosaurs though, they are two different things. They were their own family of flying reptiles, and I will fight you if you get them mixed up. Pterosaurs are not dinosaurs. There will be a test later. Right, this seems like a good time to get rating this ancient winged terror. I'm going to have to give it a 12 out of 10, one for every metre of its horrifying wing legs. But that's as long as it stays away from my nightmares, and it doesn't pluck me from my base and ark and dump me in the volcano anymore, you sickos. Right, that brings us to the part of the show that everybody loves, well, or at least acknowledges. It's question time. Okay, it's question time, and I am desperate for questions, by the way. I am so close to running out. I need you, yes you, to send me all of your illogical, nonsensical, and offensive dinosaur questions before I have to start coming up with my own and pretending and people are sending them to me. I'll do it, people, and it won't be good. It would be terrible. I'm talking Ross from Friends terrible. The worst. This week's questions are both submitted by Adam Underfoot Donahue, the artist who created the amazing Talking with Dinosaurs 8-bit art, which I really adore. His questions are, what dinosaur would biblical Jesus have been? And what dinosaur would historical Jesus have been? Ooh, these are some pretty loaded questions. Good thing I probably scared off all the people who care about blaphsomy in episode 1, when I said God had a tiny penis. That was great. Remember when this podcast was funny? Those were good times. The reptiloids want me to start off by saying that Jesus definitely wasn't a dinosaur, and certainly not a reptiloid convincing humans to worship them. They were quite emphatic about that, with threats of higher than usual levels of violence and lower than usual doses of mind-controlling tranquilizers. My sweet, sweet tranquilizers. Now, biblical Jesus, I'm sure, would have been a piscivore of some kind because of that whole fish and loaves incident, which the reptiloids would like me to point out wasn't simply them using their amazing futuristic duplication technology to fool early humans. Given that Jesus would have had to have been bipedal to be crucified, that limits us quite a bit. He also supposedly walked on water, so all of these clues seem to point to Jesus being a baryonyx. I know the internet circa 2007 was obsessed with the idea of Jesus being a raptor, but 2007 can get stuffed. What did it give us that was any good? The iPhone? It's no Symbian. We're in 2008. We're all using Windows Mobile by now, right? Right? Well, on to historical Jesus. Now this one is tougher, since there is so little evidence of him that still exists. So I'd probably compare it to Megalosaurus, a dinosaur with very little evidence and lots of stories attributed to it. Oh, burn! This has been a very religion-heavy episode, which can be pretty divisive. I would like to bring us all together with something everyone can agree on. Quetzalcoatl would fucking destroy Jesus in a 1v1. Giant flying feathered serpent with a conch shell breastplate versus a carpenter who can duplicate fish? No contest. Boom. That brings us to the end of the episode. I'd like to once again thank you for listening. Despite Podbean's dodgy listener metrics, I am so surprised to make it to 1,000 listens. I mean, some podcasts make that in their first day, but they're not me, so they can all burn in hell. Really means a lot that you take time out of your day to listen to this Kiwi rando yarn on about dinosaurs. Madness! I do desperately need more questions though, so please send them through to talkingwithdinosaurs@gmail.com, or you can tweet them to me at TalkingDinoCast, or with the Talking with Dinosaurs hashtag, or with a message to the Talking with Dinosaurs Facebook page, or even on a post in the new Talking with Dinosaurs Dinophiles Anonymous Facebook group, where you can come and talk about whatever the heck you like. If you want to help me celebrate getting 1,000 listens, feel free to rate and review me on Facebook or Stitcher, or give me a like and subscribe on the YouTubes. And don't forget to follow the Instagram, where I post barely changed memes to make them about me, because I'm great, and I love me. That's all I'm saying today, so I've been Stefanato, and we've been Talking with Dinosaurs. Now, where are those tranquilizers?